If you are struggling to get down to 10% body fat, in this video, I'm going to show you exactly what I did to get there for this photo shoot. And no, it's not just going to be about getting a calorie deficit. You've probably heard that from a million different other fitness YouTubers. So I'm going to hit this from a slightly different angle. Prepare yourself. Make sure you watch all the way to the end because I got a special gem that you do not want to miss. The very first step is all in here. It's all about your mind. It's going to be a mental battle. And anybody who's in amazing shape, you kind of have to respect them because the reality is they had to work hard to get there and be above average. Literally anyone can get to 10% body fat, but it's the mental battle that stops most people from getting there. I want you to think of it like this. If you're way above 18% body fat, you have to be in it for the long game. It's not going to happen overnight because you're going to need to drop at least 10% of your current weight to get there, which is not easy. So if you're not prepared to climb that long hill, you might as well quit right now. But this is what I want you to do. I want you to picture yourself actually being 10% body fat, what that's going to do for you, how you're going to look, your confidence, and also how you're going to feel, because that's really where the big difference takes place. And when you have that vision, and we all know the power of visualization, you will be able to get there. And that's going to be the major difference between you slogging it out on those days where you're hungry, you want to binge, and you actually getting there in the next 8, 12, 16 weeks or so. Michelangelo didn't carve David overnight. So once you learn to master those habits and that mental aspect, you are well on your way to getting to 10% body fat. Step number 2 is your behavior. What's happening in your life on a day-to-day basis that may cause you more stress, that might cause you to overeat, maybe drink too much alcohol? And the reality is that it's just a series of very small improvements in your day-to-day behavior that can make a big difference. Instead of taking the elevator, you take the stairs. Instead of driving to the shop, you walk to the shop. These little things are going to increase your overall activity, which is going to help you burn more calories and hopefully help you get in that calorie deficit, which at this point, most of you know you need to be in a calorie deficit to actually lose the body fat. And these are just some of the behaviors that you could potentially change to get there. First thing is, if you're someone who drinks lots of sugary drinks, simply replacing a normal Coke for a Diet Coke could be the difference. If you're a big drinker, slowly start to rein it in. Let's say you drink 10 drinks every weekend, try and do 8, then 6, then 4, then 2, and eventually you'll get to the point where you don't drink at all, which can be hard, but it can be done. And then I think even more importantly in regards to your behavior is your environment, because if you have the kind of environment where there's not too much cookies, there's not too much biscuits, there's not sweets and chocolates everywhere, then guess what? You are not going to eat sweets and chocolates all the time. Your environment will dictate your behaviors. So if you can fill your cupboards up with the right foods, fruits, veggies, nuts, and other low-calorie snacks, then it's going to make your life so much easier because it's going to be harder for you to binge on those poor quality snacks. If I have a pack of biscuits in the cupboard, they're getting finished. And then sticking with the behavior aspect is the consistency of your behaviors, and that includes going to the gym. If you want to get to 10% body fat, obviously a big aspect of that is lifting weights, because you want to make sure that you build as much muscle, or at least maintain your muscle mass, as you decrease your body fat. So you should be hitting the gym, I would say, at least 3 to 5 days a week. Unless you're some genetic freak, you might be able to do 2 times a week and get away with it. You want to make sure you're hitting your major muscle groups 3 or 4 times a week, doing big lifts, benching, squatting, deadlifting. You want to build as much muscle as you can and increase your strength, or at least maintain your strength, because when you are in a deficit and you're cutting that body fat, you will get a little bit more tired, you might get a bit more hungry, your energy may dip, but we want to preserve as much muscle as we can as we strip away at that body fat, so you get that lean, defined, toned look that you're probably looking for. But when I say consistency, I mean every single week. You can't be flopping after 8 weeks or 6 weeks and giving up. 8 weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks, 16 weeks, 18 weeks, 24 weeks, you get my point. Point number 3 is called calorie banking. Yes, calorie banking. If you've ever saved money, you put some money away every single month. If you want to put the money away for something important, go on vacation, same thing applies for your calories. If you eat less Monday to Friday, that gives you a bigger calorie window on the weekend. You've got to remember, a calorie deficit is a calorie deficit. So if you think about your calories in the course of 7 days rather than just 1 day, you can actually manipulate your diet in a way that enables you to enjoy your favorite foods across the week. And I'll give you a basic example. Imagine my calorie deficit was 2,000 calories a day. Over the course of 7 days, that would be 14,000 calories. But what if I did 1,800 calories Monday to Friday? That would buy me back 1,000 calories to spread across Saturday and Sunday. Now I know Saturday is my day to enjoy myself, so I'm just going to give myself an extra 1,000 calories on the Saturday, and I'm going to eat as much as I like, pretty much within reason. Sunday, I go back to my usual schedule, and I'm still in a deficit across 7 days. And on that one day where I eat what I want, I can have a few extra drinks, I can have some cookies, I can have some chips, I can have some fried chicken, whatever I want, I can have it on that day because I know I've got enough calories. For me, this is the best way to diet, and it's what I like to call flexible dieting. So bank your calories, because you don't want to spend more than you have. And point number 4, which is probably the most important point, is managing your stress and sleep. If you're too stressed, your cortisol levels can rise, and therefore you won't be able to sleep. If you don't sleep very well, you have a hunger hormone called ghrelin. This hunger hormone hormone gets out of whack and you will be eating very, very poorly. And all of this creates a terrible, terrible cycle where it's going to be very, very hard for you to get below 10% body fat, because we all know that it's a calorie deficit, which I'm not going to explain because I said I'm not going to explain it. So when it comes to managing stress, you've got to start to think about what actually stresses you out. Is it your job? Is it your friends? Is it your family, relationships? Think about what is in your life right now that's causing very, very high stress levels, and what can you do to mitigate that, or at least change it. And the same goes for sleep. You need to create a very, very good sleep environment. There's a book about why we sleep. I would definitely recommend you go read it, but also you need to think about creating an environment for sleep. Try to make sure your room is fairly cool. It's not too hot in there. If it's too hot, it's going to be hard to sleep. Think about creating that environment that actually prepares you to go to bed. So no phones in bed. Turn off the TV. In fact, I would say you shouldn't even have a TV in your bedroom. Those type of things will allow you to get a good night's sleep. Anything from 7 to 9 hours will be effective for you. People don't understand how important that is to get to 10% body fat. Point number 5, volume eating. If you don't know what that means, I'm going to explain for you. Essentially, there are some foods that are calorie dense and nutrient dense. Foods that are nutrient dense are packed with loads of nutrients without too many calories. Foods that are calorie dense are packed with loads of calories and not as much nutrients. We need to try and have a nutrient dense diet, which means we can eat loads more food without packing as many calories. I'll give you a perfect example. 1 or 2 donuts might pack me up with 200, 300, even 400 calories, whereas 2 apples wouldn't even come close to that. But guess what? The apples would be more filling because of the fiber. Usually you'll notice that nutrient dense foods are usually natural foods like fruit, veggies, and starchy carbs. So my advice is to try and pack your diet with as much volume as possible, because that will help you kick off the hunger signals, which is actually point number 6, which is managing your hunger signals. Some simple tips that I like to do when I get really hungry: have some coffee, have a carbonated beverage, usually a diet soda or some kind, drink lots of water, because actually your hunger is probably the first sign of dehydration. So you need to make sure your hydration is in check. And then if I do need to eat, the next thing to do would be to have some sort of fruit, which usually comes with some fiber as well. So for me, I'm always having a banana, a pear, I'll have some grapes, sometimes I'll have an apple, and that keeps me full, especially when that hunger signal is coming to me. If you are trying to get to 10% body fat, the reality is that yes, you are going to face periods of hunger. It's a part of the process and there's nothing you can do. If you didn't feel hungry in that process, everyone would be 10% body fat. This wouldn't make sense. So you got to be prepared to kind of fight through that hunger, because it's a part of the process and it's just something that you're going to have to learn to deal with. I've done it. You can do it. Anyone can do it. No one is genetically opposed to getting to 10% body fat. Your behaviors and your nutrition is what's going to get you there. I didn't want to just talk about being in a calorie deficit, because anyone can get in a calorie deficit. The reality is, if you can focus on the other behaviors, then it's going to make it easier for you to get in a calorie deficit. So look, this video, short and sweet. If you want to know exactly what I do in the gym, because the gym process is actually what's going to allow you to build an aesthetic looking body, you should check out this workout here, and make sure you like and share this video.